guys, so this is what if werewolves were in Young Justice Part 2, guys. Now basically, I got was it somebody on my past what if, my first part of this what if, or I think on my commentary asked about my Deku is Kryptonian what if. I'm doing that next week alongside another what if, like what if Benton was in Invincible Part 3 or 2, because that's a what if I've been lacking on, and I actually want to get back into that because it's like a fire what if. But basically, just get into it, guys. And basically, I last left off, I think, on episode 10 of season 3 of Young Justice, and basically we're gonna be continuing with episode 11, season 3, Young Justice, Another Freak. Let's get into it, guys. We start our story off 26 minutes in, 26 seconds in. Basically, a scene or in Detroit, us getting set in Detroit at a Star Labs facility. Basically, us seeing a doctor, aka Cyborg's father, basically working on a mother box. As Cyborg, or before Cyborg becomes Cyborg, Victor basically walks up in there telling his dad, he didn't show up to his game. Now his dad is always consumed in his work and is never, concerned about him. But before the guard leaves, after, Victor did goodbye to the guard leaves, and accidentally pushes the door too wide and pushes away a wire, or moves a wire. Us in the machine went out of whack just a little bit, but that would come into more play later on. And as Victor is talking to his dad, he, goes out in a fit of rage saying that, his father, never understands him. Him opening the door, but the wire that the door was pushing up against would have pushed the wire, making it pull out of the machine that was in Victor's lab, making it explode. And as we see that, we get switched with the intro. Basically, the season 3 intro sucks. I'm sorry, but it's my opinion. Let's get into it. And basically, as we start our story off, we get switched to Happy Harbor, the house where most of the team is living at. And we see pretty much a scene. Scavenger is slightly, healing up his exoskeleton. And also, we see, Ramon talks to pretty much, Foreigner. And as we see this happen, we see pretty much Rex in the back, basically him testing his strength and punching and kicking. Basically, just testing out his strength and him focusing on his senses, like his hearing, smell, and everything. As we see this happen, pretty much Rex hears, hears Halo, Scavenger, and Ramon talking, and also Artemis pretty much gives Scavenger a gym. Basically, this gym is the same type of gym Artemis used basically to become Tigress, and she pits it on Scavenger, making him appear as human. Basically, as we see Rex, look at this. Rex says, pretty cool. And basically, as pretty much they, start to talk to Foreigner about how, what's going to be his undercover name, because he is still like a teenager in Earth or something. And also, he looks like a teenager boy, so he has to have a type of persona. Kind of like how Megan and Connor had a persona when they went to high school in season 1. Now, basically, Rex is already going to school, and Rex hasn't gone to school yet, but basically, Rex already has a persona. He's Rex. He's Rex Wolf, or that's his last name. His middle name, I'm not really sure. I'm kind of getting creative. But basically, Rex, already has like a identity, and mainly he uses his hood or his werewolf form to hide his identity. Now, basically, as you see Rex just in, his normal clothes. So Rex would have been in some civilian clothes, and basically he would have been slightly excited for the fact that he's going to be going to a city type of school, since he was raised in Smallville, because he did work at a diner in Smallville when he was bitten, so he did straight up was raised in Smallville / he was half Japanese, so he did spend a good amount of time in Japan, about until he was like 9 years old, so he does know a little bit of Japanese, but he's kind of rusty on it. But let's get into it. So basically, you pretty much see that Scavenger and the rest of the team, or Ramon, Halo, and Foreigner tries to make up a human name, a civilian name. So basically, Halo tells tells Scavenger that she already picked a name and filled out the forms and all of this stuff. Fred Bug. I'm gonna probably just say Bug or Fred for like when he's has the gym on, but when he has it off, I'm gonna revert him as Scavenger. I'm going to narrate him as Scavenger. Now let's get into the story again. Basically, as we see Scavenger, basically, see actually look into it. He kind of likes it and goes back on it a little bit more and pretty much says that's pretty cool. He makes a little bit of tweaks to it, but basically he says how he take the name. Now basically as we see this, we see that Rex just looks around and pretty much says that, when are we gonna get this show on the road? Now basically as we see the rest of the team get interrupted when we see pretty much McGann and somebody else, don't remember his name, pretty much take Rex, Fred, and Halo basically to school, getting them to school on the first day. As this is happening, we get switched back to Star Labs in Detroit, where we see the outburst or the aftermath of the explosion that just went off. At the beginning of the episode, where we see the doctor is, not badly hurt, but when we see it later on, we see that Victor is badly damaged, scruffed up, for like literally buried under middle on top of middle, burned, crushed, and has literally half of his whole upper body ripped away, blown off, skull showing, super gruesome. Just watch episode 11. It's super gruesome. And basically him, losing one eye, him crying, him thinking about he's about to die, and pretty much Victor's, father tries to do a last effort and basically attaches a mother box to Victor's body to try to keep his son from not dying. And basically, as you see this happen, we see that Victor is consumed by technology and starts to be reprogrammed or starts to be healed by technology, by the mother box. The mother box coiling itself into Victor's body. And as this is happening, we get switched back to school, where we see pretty much Rex, Victor, and Ramon get introduced. Rex, Fred, and Ramon get introduced to, this class as new students. Pretty much Fred introducing himself the same, all of them do, but when Rex does, Rex says, I'm Rex Wolf. Basically him, saying that I'm from Smallville, and I came here to basically have a little bit different of a experience. And my family moved here just because. Now basically, as Rex just makes up a little bit of a backstory on his life. Pretty much, Rex's, introduction isn't really that, impressive, but basically, he just does a normal introduction. As we walk off, we see another girl, blue-haired girl, basically walk in the class, and she walks past Rex, seeing a little bit of attraction in Rex, but she just scoffs it off, trying to brush it off. Rex sees this, but he doesn't really, point it out. As you see the blue-haired girl talk to Fred and Halo, basically blue-haired girl sits down, but we see that Rex quickly sits down right next to her. Basically, she just, looks away, and basically she starts to talk to Halo and Fred the same. And Rex is just staying quiet. Basically, the blue-haired girl tries to ask, Rex, what's your name? Now, Rex, tells her his name. Ro. I think her name was. Yeah, the blue-haired girl is Ro. Miss Ro. Ro. Basically, we see that Rex says, my name is Rex, and Rex Wolf. And basically, she says, your last name's Wolf? Pretty much, Rex says, yeah, it's a creative name. My mom was really creative with her names. Basically, as they still do talk weird and complicated, Wolf kind of finds, that Wolf is a little bit more, Wolf or Rex is a little bit more chill, and he isn't as weird with his names and just a little bit more calmer since he was raised in Smallville, in a small town, but he still knows how to communicate with people, and he isn't like a weirdo like Violet and, Fred Buck with 2 G's. I mean, like, sheesh, bro. Like, he should know how to actually talk. But can't really blame him. He's on an alien island that refers to ourselves in third person. Now, basically, or I think second person. Pretty much Harper introduces herself as Harper Row or Row Hopper. But I'm just gonna say Hopper Row or Hopper. And basically, she pretty much, introduces herself to Rex, Fredbug, and Halo, and pretty much they start to talk. Basically, Rex isn't really that, keen on talking, but he does talk back with Ro, and actually kind of like slightly, very slightly, like you have to be very, smart to pick up on this, but he does kind of flirt with Harper. But, basically, we see the teacher, go on with their lesson, and they, just go on actually learning. Now, basically, as Halo and, pretty much Fred and Fred pretty much, say, can you be our friends? You be our friend or our very first friend or blah, blah, blah. Basically, Rex, smirks at this, and basically she says, I'm going to like you guys. And basically, her accepting to be friends with them. Now, as we can switch back to Detroit and Detroit Star Labs, we basically see the doctor, or Victor's father, starting to, try to examine Victor's new state or his body, and how the, mother box is literally forging to his body and redesigning his arm into, into tech. Basically, bringing him back to life and restoring his body with tech, making his arm that was blown off, basically into a type of technology. Basically, his body looking or resembling the, body of, Cyborg, the original Cyborg. Basically, his whole body isn't, technology, but the top half of his body is. Like his shoulder, his arm, his chest, and his half of his face or half of his head. And it gets switched off from, Detroit. Basically, we get switched at Connor, seeing Ramon, and pretty much starts to, talk with him. As Connor, goes out to drive his bike, basically he drives off. Basically, seeing that Ramon would have been, staying by. But after that, Ramon would have gotten to, a certain area in the garage, basically opening up the boom tube area and trying to go somewhere. As this is happening, we see that he tries to open it up and tries to open the boom tube, but he sees that he's kind of, stopped when Robin or Nightwing comes to the boom tube and catches Ramon. As he talks to Ramon, the same thing happens, just like in canon. Basically, them getting into a little bit of a struggle, or basically Ramon getting kind of heated, and pretty much starting kind of a fight against them. They never really fight, but Ramon is calmed down by Nightwing, and basically we get switched off from there. We get switched back to Detroit, Star City, where we see Victor wake up. As we see that, we get switched back to Halo, and Fred, basically with lunch. Basically, then walk into the bleachers to eat. Basically, as we see this, Rex, Halo, and pretty much Fred, go down to eat lunch, and pretty much Rex, brought his own lunch. Basically, him just running up on top of the bleachers using his werewolf acrobatics to basically robbing up pretty much, or straight up, just Spider-Man his way, like Spider-Man finesse his way up on top of the bleachers and starts to eat. But as we see, he starts to notice, Harper's there. And Harper says, how did you do that? Rex starts to make up a lie and says, I took some years in acrobatics. Basically, she kind of believes this and just scoffs it off. As she invites them to, all of them, to come over and eat on the bleachers with them. As this happen, pretty much Fred starts to eat with his other four arms, but in, reality with the gym, it kind of looks like the, food is levitating. But basically, as you see, the rest of them eat, and Rex just has, a sandwich, but the weird thing is that the sandwich meat is actually just raw beef or deer meat. Because in this canon, basically, Rex, if he does eat raw meat, it kind of satisfies the hunger of the wolf within himself. So when he turns on the full moon, he doesn't go all berserker or completely berserker and starts to kill everybody. And basically, we get switched back to Detroit Star Labs, where we see Victor basically, tell his father, what did you do to me? That I'm not even human anymore. Him showing off the whole entire thing about how he is all tech, and him being incredibly, saying like, why did you turn me into this? Now, basically, as the light on his body turns blue or something, turns purple, he starts to go all Terminator on the staff or on the, pretty much people. And basically, as we see the programming in Victor's body starts to go out of whack, he basically goes after his father, seeing him as a target. As he's about to take him out, we get switched back to pretty much Fred, Rex, and Fred, Rex, and Halo, and pretty much we see that Fred starts to talk to Harper. Harper still says the same thing. Basically, as they just talk about his name a little bit, the same thing as in canon. Basically, as Harper says his goodbyes to Fred. Basically, we see that Rex uses a little bit of his acrobatics to basically ninja off of the bleachers, off of the fence, and right behind Harper after Fred leaves. After we see this, we see that Rex starts to talk to Harper and tries to, flirt with her a little bit more. She catches up on this and tells him, to try harder next time. Basically, her patting, or basically her not really patting, but her, putting her hand on Rex's shoulder and saying, "See you later." Basically, Rex, is kind of feeling himself since, Harper didn't really reject him or really not really, talk on it, but she did get that little bit of a flirty type smirk. But basically, we see that Rex just walks off, him being a little bit excited. But as we see this happen, basically we get switched to, the rest, or pretty much we get switched to Fred and Rex checking up on Halo. I see that Halo feels really sick. Basically, as Halo's talking, basically basically a purple light starts emitting around her body. Basically, Rex being confused, and basically as Halo sees this purple light around her body, she starts to see what's happening. But as she realizes that she has made a boom tube, basically Rex says, "A boom tube? What the?" Basically, as we see Fred and Rex talk, basically Rex tells Fred to just shut up and pretty much grabs Fred, pulling him into the boom tube, following Halo. Now, basically, as this happens, we see that Fred is a little bit too slow, and Rex is the only one that gets to the boom tube. Basically, Fred trying to tell the others. Now, as you see Halo and Rex show up, basically, Rex looks around and smells this, and basically, we see that Victor sees Halo as a target. Well, not really a target, but basically tries to attack her. As this happens, we see that Violet gets pushed back, but we see that Rex jumps in using his, strength to pretty much punch Victor into a wall and starts to throw him down against the wall. As Victor takes out or makes some sort of, shoots, what was it? Sorry guys, I can't even talk right now. He shoots a laser beam right towards Rex in his chest, like burning his chest, but not going through his chest. Basically pushing him into the ceiling and knocking him down. Halo, starts to fight against Victor, and the fight plays out nearly the same. But as Victor's about to finish off the job before Halo can use her, forceful power, Rex jumps in, kicking Victor upside the wall. Basically, seeing that Rex is slowly, very slowly healing, 2 times slower than, a normal Deadpool or Wolverine regeneration. And basically, we see that Rex, has really, kicked Victor hard upside the wall, and we see that Rex's eyes are glowing bright yellow. So basically, what would happen is Victor was knocked out, but basically Halo would use her powers to reprogram or turn Victor good and make him into his right mind. Basically, Victor waking up with the original, cyborg red lights, and being helped up by Halo and Rex. Basically, Rex saying, "You okay, buddy?" Basically, as we see Victor talks to Halo and the rest of them, saying what happened and how he didn't really have that much control over his body. As Halo uses her new power to basically make another boom tube, we see that Victor, sort of kind of, pretty much goes off on his father about what he did to him and why did he bring him back like this. And basically, it's still the same conversation, but we see that Halo and Rex, or Halo makes a boom tube and they leave. Basically, Victor just leaving, him leaving off on a little bit of a, narrow route or narrow stuff on his father. Basically, him leaving and Victor's father trying to talk to him, and Victor, admits that his father turned him into a monster. And basically, we see that Rex hears this and pretty much kind of, not really mad, but kind of disdain because Victor thinks he's a monster, but, Rex is a werewolf, for God's sake, bro. He's a freaking werewolf. He's more than a monster than Victor is. Victor is just a cyborg. But basically, we get switched back to pretty much, Fred talking to Megan about what happened with Rex and how Halo just disappeared. And basically, as this happened, we see another boom tube, the boom tube Rex or Halo open, and we basically see that Rex, Halo, and Cyborg would have walked through the, boom tube. Basically, Fred hugging both of them, and basically we see that go to the boom tube, they would see Rex and pretty much Rex and Halo. As we see the cyborg walk away after, Fred and Rex start to Fred, hugs Rex and Halo, pretty much saying I was worried about you. Basically we see that Victor starts to walk away. Victor doesn't really want to talk to them, and he just wants to be alone. Basically he starts to examine his newfound techno body and basically looks at the football field basically near the bleachers, basically reminiscing. As we get switched back to Mount Justice, or switched to Mount Justice, where we see Ramon pretty much, ignore a phone call from his uncle. Basically, we see Ramon looks down on the water, and basically looking down in the ocean near Mount Justice. As you see, he's joined by Nightwing. We see that Nightwing talks to Ramon the same, and pretty much the episode's left off there. As we get switched back to Nightmare Monkeys, episode 2, the last episode, episode 12, the last episode for this What If, or not this What If part for the. Sorry, guys. Basically, we get switched to the beginning of the episode where we see Garfield Logan, or Beast Boy, gets shown as a kind of a actor that basically shows himself to be kind of a Star Trek type actor. Basically, him being a Star Trek actor for a TV show that's basically straight up just a rip-off of Star Trek. Now, basically, as we see this happen, we see that the, producer talks to Garfield, and pretty much the beginning of the episode goes exactly the same, actually. As we get switched to Granny Goodness, basically talking to Gar about the whole entire, thing with his, directors and acting and just everything. We get switched back to pretty much Happy Harbor, where we see Cyborg look up to the team, or pretty much go to the team, basically trying to, talk to them. As we see this happen, we see that, pretty much as he shows up, we pretty much see, and when he shows up, we see that, Fred reveals his true self, taking out the crystal, and, Frank is kind of, turned off by this, or not really turned off, but pushed back by this and trips. Basically, Rex catching him before he can fall. Basically, as Rex pulls him back up instead of Black Lightning, basically we see that pretty much the team still talks similar the same, just Rex staying quiet in the back. And basically, as the episode goes similar the same doctor that was there during the whole entire, Ramon whole entire situation, pretty much Connor brings up the whole entire thing about the dissected mother box on the table, the place or the base where we saw Ramon and his sister being experimented on and turned into metahumans. Basically, you see that, Connor and the rest of the team start to talk about a plan. As we see Halo, go into her memory, she remembers her dying, coming back for some reason. Her getting to the two together about some sort of, mother box. As we get switched from there, we get switched to pretty much Gar at a hotel building, basically with the princess. Basically, a scene that is kind of, they're kind of like, I guess you could say girlfriend and boyfriend and girlfriend. But as we see this happen, we see that Gar puts on a VR headset that was in the apartment, the hotel, basically, or the room. Basically, him saying, can I, wear it or whatever. Basically, he just puts it on after getting kind of a yes. Basically, him putting it on and him, going to pretty much a game called Space Track, I think 2016. And basically, as he plays a game, basically based off of his show he, the show he plays in, you get switched back to the rest of the team talking about the mother boxes and Victor. As they, make the proof and basically put together about the, how Halo is a living mother box, and basically about how, Victor is some sort of, cyborg. Basically, Victor asked him, I don't really care about her being a living mother box. All I want to know is how I'm going to get back to my actual life. As Rex sees this, he tells Victor, there's no way you can go back to your regular life. Basically, Victor says, how would you know? You aren't like me. Basically, Victor says, I am like you. Basically, Rex, takes a little bit of willpower. him transforming through his civilian clothes into his wolf form. And just for size comparison, his wolf form is about the same size as Lobo, but just 2 times bigger, like us referring to as like full-on wolf form. As you see Rex transform into his wolf form, pretty much Victor is shocked and basically says, "You're basically Rex de-transforms." Him pretty much running back into the house, getting redressed because he did rip through his clothes. But basically, you see that pretty much Victor says he's basically pretty much Rob is saying a werewolf. Yeah. Basically, Victor says yeah, but he can go back. He can actually hide. I can't. Look at me. Basically, I'm referring to his cybernetic body. And basically, as we see this happen, pretty much he goes on about how I'm so close to a college scholarship, and I can't really play, but I'm genetically better than any of the other players. As Victor says, I just want you to get this tech off of me. Basically, him saying I don't care about any of these mother or father boxes or whatever. Basically, Connor saying, what do you mean? No one said anything about a father box. Basically, I've seen that Victor would have said that. Basically, pretty much the super cycle coming up on to very much Victor going all battle mode, about to straight up shoot this man Victor down, and Victor goes all angry or mother box and pretty much shoots a beam of energy towards the super cycle. As Connor jumps in between the fire, basically stopping the fire blast, him telling them to stop. Now, as Victor tries to shoot another blast, we see that Halo uses her power to basically redesign or pretty much refix Connor's tech, basically putting it refix. What was it? Refix. Sorry, guys. Refixes Victor's tech, basically bringing him back to control. As this happened, you see the rest of the episode goes similar to the same, because the main fact of the thing is that Rex is still getting and is still getting clothed. I don't know how to pronounce that word, but I think I'm pronouncing it right. Basically, as you see this happen, you see Rex get out of the building or the room he's in. Basically, a scene that Connor and Megan would have been flirting after the whole entire situation. Rex just coming out of the building, being kind of confused. His room, getting out of the house, being kind of confused what happened. As this happened, we see that Connor is playing, what is it? Pretty much playing the game, and basically somehow the game VR set controls Gar. Basically, telling him a location to go to. Basically, I was seeing writing on the pretty much, writing on the VR headset. A scene that his mind was transferred into kind of a VR version of the Star Trek game. Him seeing holograms of past members of the Young Justice like Jason Todd, Wally, the original Blue Beetle, all those others. Basically, him being in kind of a mindset of sorts. As this happens, we basically switch to Megan and the rest of the team talking about the whole situation. Basically, Rex asking what happened. Basically, as Wolf talks to Rex, since Rex, I didn't mention this in the original, Rex kind of can communicate with the wolves in like different type of frequencies. Basically, in being able to communicate and understand wolves or any type of canine animal. Basically, just wolves, just dogs being a little bit more predatorial towards Rex, since he is kind of like a whole like giant dog compared to them. As you see, Connor and Megan still talk about the whole time marriage thing, still like in canon. We get switched back to pretty much Gar having the same type of situation. Still, basically him, pretty much doing the same thing. Now, as we see him in this mind space, he's kind of confused. As he skips to a different mind space, him skipping to the Teen Titans Go universe, a little bit of a, throwback. Basically, as we see pretty much his girlfriend or the princess take off the VR headset away from Gar's, face. We pretty much see that Gar passes out. Him being a little bit of, what was it? Him being a little bit blacked out and him still being in that mindset. As this mindset happened, we basically see that Gar pretty much, is introduced to the Doom Patrol. Basically, him still having that same type of conversation throughout the show. And basically, the show or the episode going similar, like exactly the same, as he sees a Teen Titans Go version of Megan. Basically, I've seen that Megan would have been in his mindset, trying to bring him out of it. I've seen that Megan would have shown up at the prince's door, basically asking what happened. Obviously, medics would come out with a stretcher, basically, pulling, Connor out. I mean, Garfield out. As we see Connor and Megan, stop the medics and push them out of the room. We see that pretty much Megan would have used her psychic abilities to try to break, Gar out of this whole entire mind game he's in. As we get switched back to Rex, Rex would have been in his room, him lifting some weights, and basically him, training with some weapons like bow stabs and stuff like that. Him mainly being focused on his physical strength, since he doesn't really like straight up going all wolf, because he feels like if he does release, like straight up full on let go, he feels like he could just rip somebody apart. He can do the same thing I did in the original. The whole entire him transforming the first full night, and basically him going on berserker. But basically we can switch to pretty much Gar. Rex would have been outside, basically near the forest area, basically him running through the forest and training on his physical power, alongside Wolf following after him, pretty much testing him and following after him. Now, basically, as they were, running across the forest area, running all around, they would be miles away from the house. As Wolf would know the scent of the house back, they would walk back to the house, and basically that's where, Rex and Wolf would have slowly walked back, or slowly got their way back to the house. As this happens, we pretty much see, as we see Megan tell the princess that she did, or a girl, that she did the right thing. We get back to Megan, basically her getting into Gar's mind, trying to break him out of this mindset. As this happens, you see that Gar's kind of been like a montage of pretty much like cartoons on slash comedies slash other things, him reliving the same moment that he had, him witnessing his parents' death in the forest or in the jungle, him still having that same memory over and over. And as we see Megan in the form of a monkey, basically tells Gar to break out of it, and pretty much pulls him out of this mindscape, basically saving him. As Gar wakes up, he pretty much, I guess his girl, and basically gets switched back to pretty much, the team, or pretty much the Happy Harbor of the house. Basically, you have seen that Rex would have ran back, him being in like a red sweat, like Adidas type outfit, or a red sweatsuit outfit, kind of like the same outfit Deku wore doing the entry exams. Basically, he would have been jogging back to pretty much the house, at like the backyard area. Basically, him walking, and he would have seen Ramon and Halo kissing, him smirking, and basically him running back into the house and saying that's unexpected. And basically, we get switched off from there. And basically, guys, I don't know if I'm gonna make the ship I'm gonna make the ship Harper for Rex. Most likely, I will. But yeah, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys like and subscribe. And as always, guys, have a blessed day. I last left off at episode 13, season 3, guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys like and subscribe. And as always, guys, have a blessed day.